I'd like to welcome you to my Thursday Bread History Seminar Workshop. I am broadcasting from my kitchen in Santa Cruz, California. My name is William Rubel. You can find my book, Bread, A Global History, at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online sources, possibly also at your public library. I'm writing a larger bread history, and really this work in the seminar series is feeding into this new work that I'm writing. So thank you very much for watching. You can go to my Facebook group, Bread History and Practice, join the group. That's where you will get notifications of the live seminars, and also you will see what people are posting who have attended the seminar. If you want to make breads that are mentioned, then go to my website, williamrubel.com. I don't have all of the recipes from each of these seminars posted, but increasingly I do. So you should look there first in the category seminar. Now, I always start with the same two slides. And so I'm going to do that now. Bread as an invention, like a chair, a shoe, or a necklace. No farmer ever harvested a bread. It's not possible. Breadfruit's a fruit. It rots. Wheat is a grain. You've got to grind it, process it, do lots of things in order to make it into bread. And today we're going to be talking really about bread recipes, the writing down of this amazing invention. The writing down of it is fairly recent and doesn't really work very well. But that we will see as we move into the recipes. Now, when you look up in the stars at night, as you've heard me say, those of you who have been to my talks before, you will not see the recipe for the best bread. You will not see the incarnation of the best bread. You will not find anything about the best bread in the stars, because the best bread is in our hearts. Is in our hearts and is in these written recipes, because the best bread is defined, of course, by each person individually, but culturally by the elite, people like us who have Thursdays to spend online and we're not working hard at a job. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see the recipes for basically the bread that most of us eat every day. Just bread. Now, what we're not going to get into today, a few knots. We're not going to be getting into the nuance of the bread, nuance of the roll. This we're going to do in a different session where we start looking at things like paintings. Now, most bread recipes up to the 19th century are in manuscripts. And I can see this is not my most recent version of this talk because I had added something here. This manuscript from the 1550s that Malcolm Fick transcribed for me and that I actually discovered through Malcolm Fick has more bread recipes in it than were published in the following 150 years. More bread recipes than in the following 150 years, if we limit those to the recipes for humans, because there was a bread recipe literature for animals that was actually rather extensive. But we are not going to be talking about manuscripts, and most of these manuscripts are invisible. So I think, as with many issues of history, once these manuscripts get digitized and available to all of us, there's going to be a bigger history is going to unfold, a bigger history. Right now, we're really being limited to what's in print. Now, I want to start at the beginning of the beginning of the beginning's beginning, which is that wheat is a grass. And it is really important. Wheat is a grass. And it was domesticated, this grass was domesticated about 10,000 years ago. And since then, no big change has happened to those grains. It's a really important idea, and it's central to interpreting bread recipes and not panicking and not feeling lost. I think a lot of times people look at these recipes, I know I used to, and you just feel, my God, what does it mean? I mean, what was bread like then? What to do? Remember, the grain hasn't changed. This is a wheat kernel. On the outside is the bran. Then you get a new layer, another layer called the aleurone. The bran, of course, is flaky. The aleurone is a little bit less flaky. It's also slightly yellowish. Then you get to the outer endosperm. But the whole bit that the bran and the aleurone um, enclose is the endosperm. And the endosperm, that's the starch, that's the food for the growing seed. The little bottom of this, you see E, that's the germ. That's where the nascent plant will be born. It represents about 3% of the total thing. But the reason I'm focusing on this is that in the very, very middle of the endosperm, it says white bread. Virtually every written recipe in history, and this is going back perhaps even 3,000 years, was effectively for white bread.